Hey guys, so I've seen a video online, and it was at a Pride rally, and they asked it looked like somebody's dad, and they asked him, "How many genders are there?" And he says, "I don't know. I just got here." And that's very much how I feel about sexuality in general.
Sure.
I was raised in a very small town. In my public, sex ed class taught me a whole bunch of stuff as I go that I'm finding out is just incorrect, not right. So I don't know what I'm missing and what I don't know. Basically, what I was calling in to ask you guys was, is there a book, a podcast, a YouTube series you could recommend that just had like a basic, comprehensive sex ed discussion? Everything just from the basic stuff of sex to, bi, trans, queer issues.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know.
No, I think that's a great question, and there are so many good answers. I've found myself in a pretty similar circumstance. I mean, growing up in the rural South, or Texas, however you want to frame that, and having never put a condom on a banana, never having had those types of education, for me, it really sincerely was things like this show and some great other shows like it. I already kind of mentioned the Savage Lovecast, Dan Savage's project, and his writing, of course, is incredibly influential, particularly in the queer community, but not exclusively. Beyond that, there are so many good answers that I am struggling to think of maybe like a singular or comprehensive one. Sex ed can be defined as things like how to avoid STIs, how to use a condom, how to have certain types of sex in a safe way. And for that, I would really encourage you to look at videos. The Erica Lust and Lust Productions in particular has a great number and a number of different series that are educational in that way without being incredibly difficult to watch. They're not all fascinating. It is a little bit schooly, but they tend to do a particularly good job. So I'd mention their resources, but if you're looking for something or not looking to pay, $10 a video, honestly, there are reasonably good sex ed resources on a lot of porn websites, places like Xvideo and Pornhub. That's not to conflate porn with sex ed, but I will say that unfortunately, so many people have been using porn as sex ed that a number of these companies have started to actually release and curate sex ed videos on their platforms. So in addition to places like YouTube and Spreaker or wherever you're getting your podcasts, I would encourage you to look at some different pornography sites, whether it's Lust Productions, Pornhub, Xvideo. What else comes to mind?
Something that you might want to do, and not as many guys would think of this, I think, as a first stop, but call your local Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
and
actually
ask questions. When I first started having sex, I called my local Planned Parenthood every week. What if this happened? Am I pregnant?
Yeah.
What if this happened? Can I get an STI? And they were so understanding and knowledgeable, and they would sit with me on the phone and just go through exactly what was going on, exactly what I should do. It was very, very, very helpful, and it's free.
So that's something I could call and not even visit?
Yeah, you can just call and say, I've got a question about sex. Can I talk to one of the nurse practitioners? And they'll put you on hold, and then whoever's there will answer your questions.
And honestly, they are often going to be a great resource for who are the sex ed classes in town. Like, where are those happening? What's available? You're not just your locally owned, but, of course, we like to highlight that. But in any good or like well-run sex shop in your town is likely going to have resources. Those might be geared more towards specific sex acts, things like BDSM 101, rope play 101, anal 101, how to perform fellatio 101. All of those sorts of things can be really useful. And I think an important thing to highlight is that things will come up as you go. You will have questions. You will seek out answers to those questions. But just going into your sex life, not feeling like you have to have all of the answers.
Yeah.
a lot of the fun of sex is exploring with your partner and finding out things that maybe they know and you don't, maybe things that neither of you know, and getting to watch some of those like cheesy sex ed videos together, getting to, go to a class together and learning these things bit by bit. I don't know that there is anything that's going to jump up and bite you because you didn't know going in. Certainly, I would encourage you to, be thoughtful as you're experimenting with new positions, with new kinks, with new ideas, to be careful about around sexual health and making sure to utilize appropriate safe sex practices and different things. But beyond recognizing your own limitations and not pushing yourself too quickly before doing your homework, I don't know that you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to break everything because you didn't know the right position to use or the right word or whatever else.
Right. Is there anything you can recommend as far as just knowledge on trans people? Like, I've got a really good friend who's in the process of transitioning right now, and I just would like to know more because, when I was taught, that's just a mental health issue.
Sure.
Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, and it really depends on I guess, the types of questions that you have in many ways. As far as understanding gender, we've recommended on this show a number of times the book How to Understand Your Gender by Meg John Barker, and I think that that's a very simple read and a very good place to start in understanding all sorts of gender questions. For things that are more medically oriented around, what does it look like to have a vaginoplasty? What does it actually look like to have chest contouring or to be on T or any of these types of things, which again are not the same thing as being transgender by any means. But as you're looking at trans issues, if you're interested in what medical transitioning would look like, that book wouldn't be the best resource. I'm not sure where I would direct you because it really depends on the types of questions that you're having.
When I started exploring that whole area, I was watching a lot of trans YouTubers who are very bravely and graciously walking us through their transition and what it's like to go through the world as a trans person. So Ty Turner is one trans man that I watch a lot of. Steph Sanjati is a trans woman who is very, very, she talks a lot about what she's gone through. Chase Ross.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Gigi Gorgeous. There's a number of them, and I'll tell you that I'll go ahead and make sure that these books, some of these websites, and different things are all linked in the footnotes in the comments of the episode. So if you are on YouTube, you can go ahead and check the YouTube comments after we're done here. If you're listening to the podcast version, you can find all of that at valencecounseling.com. We'll have links to this episode as well as all of the different resources and things that we've been discussing tonight.
Yeah, I'd say once you find one or two people on YouTube, if that's the direction you go, who are you like and you watch a lot of, that will start opening up other suggestions that you can look at. I think for me that was immensely helpful to just see other people talking about their story. Luxander is an amazing non-binary atheist YouTuber. So yeah, there's a whole plethora of people online who are talking about it every day.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, and I'm so excited for you that you're taking these things on, that you're learning these things. And I, regret that you didn't have those opportunities early on. But I would just encourage you that you're not going to get kicked out of bed. You're not going to break anybody or ruin somebody's life because you're not an expert on these things. If you need to learn how to use a condom, if you need to learn how to be cognizant about STIs or about these more sophisticated cultural issues, great. Go out and learn those things. You're doing it, and we're really glad to talk to you. But I hope that there's not a sense that that you're somehow behind or that you can't catch up or that there's a problem or something wrong. We hope that you go out confidently and comfortably.
It's less that, I'm worried about bedroom stuff and more of, I just want to be an ally. I just want to know. I want to be able to help out and suggest because I'm still in touch with a lot of friends from high school, and it's just, I was taught in high school that birth control is basically the same thing as abortion.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously there's going to be other people who still believe that, and I'm going to be able to say, hey, here's a resource for you to look at more than anything.
Yeah, you know what? And Malcolm Gladwell actually did a recent episode of his podcast, Revisionist History, on that question of how should we define birth control in these different ways.
Oh, my goodness. There's a whole other area of American law and history around birth control.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there is no end to your journey, but I'm excited to hear you're on it. And please feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call back if you find something great you feel like people should know about.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great night.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love hearing that people are ready to learn and want to know stuff. And just that first step of, I don't know this thing, but I feel like it's important so that I can help someone else.
Yeah.
It's the biggest step in a lot of ways. A lot of people don't even get there. So thank you so much, Zack, for even calling in and asking. That's awesome.
Yeah, and as we pull all of these things together, as we're talking about what this show is good for, and we had a call at the top of the show talking about the importance of things like this for the folks that don't have access to it. And we talked to Zack, who is looking for more information. It's impossible to talk about all of these things without acknowledging sort of the beauty and the power of YouTube.